Hi everyone! Curtis James Jackson III, popularly known as 50 Cent, is frequently seen as the personification of resiliency, prosperity, and success. A man who became a worldwide celebrity after rising from the rough streets of South Jamaica, Queens. However, beneath the platinum albums, diamond-encrusted necklaces, and public demeanor is a tale of unfathomable loss, heartache, and survival that few people really comprehend. Because Curtis's life has always been a complicated tapestry made of trauma, sorrow, and the unrelenting fight to survive in a world that appeared destined to take him from the start. Curtis was born in 1975, and his earliest recollections are of terror, abandonment, and the shadow of death that loomed over his family, neighborhood, and ultimately his own childhood rather than laughing or safety. A childhood in which his mother, Sabrina, was brutally murdered when he was only 8 years old, the man who would later speak so openly about life, suffering, and perseverance in his music and interviews was shaped by a loss so severe that it forced him to mature practically overnight, instilling a combination of anger, independence, and survival instincts that would become both his armor and his burden. Curtis strayed after losing his mother, living with relatives, being neglected, and witnessing firsthand the effects of crime and poverty. Curtis's early years were spent learning how to navigate the streets, escape predators, and make life-or-death decisions that no 8-year-old should ever have to make, whereas many youngsters are insulated from danger. A training that created the toughness and street smarts that would eventually characterize his persona as 50 Cent, but it also left him with lifelong emotional wounds. In order to survive as a youngster in a world full of violence, treachery, and the continual fear of imprisonment or death, he turned to the drug trade, gaining knowledge about power, trust, and life's frailty. And it was during these years that he gained the instincts that would eventually turn him into a strategist, rather than merely a survival, someone who can anticipate future events, assess threats, and defend oneself in ways that most people would never think possible. He faced danger while living on the streets. Curtis also had one of his most pivotal experiences in 2000, when he was shot 9 times. He survived an almost fatal attack that would have put a stop to his journey. However, rather than shattering him, the shooting turned into a furnace that turned suffering into motivation for his aspirations, teaching him that survival was more than just avoiding death. It also involved turning anger, sadness, and terror into a purpose. And all of his subsequent decisions, both in life and in art, would be influenced by this event. After overcoming that tragedy, 50 Cent turned to music with a fury that demanded attention from everyone. Get Rich or Die Try, his debut album, shot to fame in 2003. Millions of people were immediately moved by the song's lyrics, which transformed his suffering experience and street knowledge into hymns of triumph, resiliency, and survival. However, the emotional burden of his childhood and adolescence persisted even at the pinnacle of his success, haunting him in times of solitude, in relationships strained by mistrust, and serving as a continual reminder that neither fame nor wealth could drive away the ghosts of the past. Beyond the music, Curtis's life has been marked by heartbreaking personal struggles, the loss of friends to street violence, betrayals from people he trusted most, and the lingering trauma of the life he survived. All of these things are quietly carried beneath the public bravado, demonstrating that the image of an untouchable mogul is only half the story, and that behind the success is a man who is constantly battling grief, loss, and the long-lasting effects of decisions made for survival in a world that provided him with no safety net. His business and acting endeavors added levels of success and difficulty. Blockbuster movies, TV shows, and calculated investments that demonstrated his cunning and daring. But even in the midst of this success, he was burdened by the expectations of the public, the pressures of fame, and the specter of past trauma. As a result, he frequently had to deal with feelings of loneliness, mistrust, and the need for constant vigilance to protect himself from both old enemies and those looking to profit from his rise, demonstrating that wealth and power cannot heal wounds that have been carried for decades. The most terrible aspect of 50 Cent's existence is that the ghosts of the past cast a shade over each triumph. His mother passed away too soon. His childhood was stolen. Friends were killed or imprisoned. People he once thought of as family were betrayed. And he had near-death experiences that left him with both triumph born from suffering, and the very resilience that made him a superstar was forged in fire and loss. However, Curtis has also turned his pain into a great legacy by utilizing his music to give voice to the voiceless, his tale to inspire others, and his business endeavors to show off his inventiveness and resourcefulness. All the while facing the personal price of each choice, reminding the world that behind every diamond chain, every high-end vehicle, and every public appearance is a man who has struggled with the emotional wounds that endure fame and prosperity, and has experienced suffering that most people will never experience. When considering his life, 50 Cent's tragedy lies not only in the brutality and adversity he experienced, but also in the sacrifices he had to make in order to survive. The emotional toll of seeing death, the anguish of losing loved ones, the loneliness of bearing trauma in silence, and the continuous difficulty of balancing his achievement in the present with his past. And it is in this dichotomy that his story takes on a genuinely personal and painful quality. A reminder that even celebrities and moguls are sculpted by loss, sadness, and terror, and that success and survival frequently come at the expense of invisible scars. And that Curtis James Jackson III's life, in spite of his notoriety and wealth, is still a monument to tenacity, fortitude, and the silent heartache that comes with living against insurmountable obstacles, making 50 Cent's narrative both tragic and triumphant, one that evokes wonder while leaving the heart burdened by what he has gone through and still bears. I appreciate you watching.